Hoping you have had a fantastic week. Welcome to another edition of Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nation Owano, and it's time for us to catch up with what has been going on in the world of sports. The following are just some of the things that you're going to be talking about on the show tonight. You're going to be talking about the induction of rugby legend, that is Humphrey Khayange, into the Rugby World Hall of Fame. Apart from that, we are going to be talking about the Gor Mahia versus Kariobangi Sharks game that was played this past week, and new entrance into the Kenya Premier League, that is FC Talanta beat Tusker FC, who are the current defending champions, 2-1 in a match fixture that was played on Wednesday. Apart from that, we are going to be talking matters yoga a little bit. I mean, what are some of the misconceptions that probably you've heard about yoga? We're going to be having a yoga instructor who's going to be demystifying some of the things that you need to understand about yoga. Away from that as well, today we've taken a totally different angle to the whole issue of sports. We're also going to be talking about judo. What are some of the things that you've heard about judo? Ever heard of the black belts? Well, don't worry, I'm going to be talking about that and much more on Metropole Sports Center. On to first things first, that is a Kenyan rugby legend, that is Humphrey Khayange. This past week was inducted into the Rugby Hall of Fame. Humphrey Khayange was inducted alongside the following people, that is Osea Kolinisu from Fiji, Huriana Manuel Carpenter from New Zealand, Cheryl McAfee from Australia, and Willie Carling from England, and Jim Telfler from Scotland. The decorated rugby player appeared at the two Commonwealth Games, that is in 2010 and 2014, and was a member of the team that won Kenya's first ever World Rugby Series Cup title in Singapore in 2016. You remember at the time the rugby team was under the captaincy or the management of former manager, that is Benjamin Ayimba, I beg your pardon, who passed away a couple of months away. On the Metropole Sports Center, we'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Humphrey Khayange on that impressive induction into the Rugby World of Rugby Hall of Fame. And switching gears into matters Kenya Premier League, that is two midweek fixtures were honored on Wednesday. That is FC Talanta were playing with Tusker FC. Remember that Tusker FC are currently the defending champions of the Kenya Premier League. This is because they clinched the title last season. Now, the goals by FC Talanta was scored by Francis Kahiro, who scored in the 20th minute before it was cancelled out by James Masharia in the 56th minute. Francis Kahiro scored again in the 62nd minute, ensuring that they won that particular game. That is, the Tusker FC coach, that is Robert Matano, was not quite impressed by the performance of his team. Remember, the loss to FC Talanta comes at the backdrop of their loss to Egyptian champions, that is Zamalek FC, in the CAF Champions League. This is what he had to say after the game.
I think we were prepared for this, and I'm happy that we have gotten 3 points, which is very important. We are participating in the league, and we need to work so hard so that we can be somewhere respectable. We say that we get, if we are ahead, then we lock the game. I think that is what worked for us, because they were dropping balls in the box, then we were trying to contain them.
Kulingana na historia ya Tusker, hawajawahi kushinda game za kwanza mbili. So it's something kama imekuweko, but we'll come out very strongly. We have to come out forcefully, yeah, because we have to realize our mistakes, and things must change. We have to work on, we have to work hard. They have to realize their mistakes, because we cannot follow repeating same mistake every day. Even a wise person must change his mind. Yeah, if you are losing the same thing every day, same place, same player, same position, and you are playing there, how do you think? Yeah, you are not ready for the match. So we'll do something better now.
Now, the other midweek fixture that was honored on Wednesday at the Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani, was Gor Mahia versus former champions, that is Kariobangi Sharks. Gor Mahia came on top of this particular match time. Now, Gor Mahia's goals were scored by Benson Omala and Peter Luasa in normal time. Important to mention that Luasa is a former Kariobangi Sharks player who was released by the squad and he came to bite the Sharks. That particular game basically means that Gor Mahia moves to second place in the league with 9 points, the same number of points as Nairobi City Stars, who have played a game more than them. Well, away from matters local football, now the football world was thrown into surprise this past week after Ronald Koeman, who's the Barcelona manager, was relieved of his duties at Camp Nou. Now, the statement was released by the Barcelona president, that is Juan Laporta. Important to mention that Ronald Koeman has had a spate of challenges at Camp Nou. You remember this past couple of months ago, that is in the August transfer window. One of the things that probably most pundits say was the inspiration, probably was some of the things that pushed Lionel Messi out of the Barcelona team was Ronald Koeman. A couple of months ago, that is 2 seasons ago, before Lionel Messi moved from Barcelona, there been word or communication going around that they were not getting along with the manager, that is Ronald Koeman. And this past week, he was fired by Barcelona. This is after they lost their match against Real Vallecano. That to mention. So important to mention who are some of the people that are going to be considered for the position of the Barcelona coach. There's already been a discussion about the possibility of former Barcelona player, that is Xavi Hernandez, to be appointed into the board. But a key thing about appointing former players is whether they are qualified enough to coach this respective team. A very good example is young players who are introduced into, or former players who are introduced into the coaching world, and for one reason or another they were not able to meet the expectations. A good example is former Manchester United player, that is Gary Neville, who was fired by Valencia just after 4 months of being a coach. Another good example of a coach who's under fire and has not had good spells as a manager is the current Manchester United manager, that is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's already been conversation about the possibility of him being fired, but that's a conversation that you're going to be following on, and you're going to be letting you know on how, whether he's going to retain his job. Also considering the fact that he has a very big match fixture this coming weekend that is going to be playing against Nuno's team, that is Tottenham Hotspurs. Still sticking to matters, the English Premier League now, Daniel Kretinsky is set to increase his stake at West Ham United. Daniel Kretinsky, who's a Czech billionaire, is also the manager or the owner of Sparta Prague. Kretinsky, I beg your pardon, has big stakes in the Royal Mail and J. Sainsbury. The talks are at an advanced stage to acquire a 20% stake in the Premier League club, that is West Ham United. According to sources privy to the deal, the transaction could be announced as soon as the first weekend of November, when the Hammers, that is West Ham United, play against Liverpool at the London Stadium. In the takeover deal, that is according to sources, if it proceeds to fruition, that is, it means it will end the decade-long control of David Gold and David Sullivan, who acquired the club in 2010. This acquisition conversation comes at the backdrop of the acquisition of Newcastle United by the Public Investment Fund, which has been linked to close ties with the Saudi Arabian government. Well, that particular story about West Ham United completes the first part of Metropole Sports Center. We do take a short commercial break. After the break, I do have interesting things that you need to understand about yoga and also judo. See you after the break.